Hi, this is David Rice. I'm with Hit Christian Substack. I can be found on Apple Podcasts. I have to think of all the places now. Spotify, Missouri Liberty Radio, YouTube, and Rumble. So if you guys want to find this interview, you can go there or to all those locations. I'm with Michael Hasty. He is a candidate for the 135th district. He is running as a Republican against Betsy Fogel. She is a Democrat incumbent in that district, and that is mostly the western side of Springfield. Is that correct, Michael?
It's the n- northeastern.
Eastern. Sorry, I get west and east mixed up all the time for some reason. I don't know. I have a picture of the map in my head, and for some reason I said west instead of east. But
Well,
yes,
the basic outline of the district is north of Sunshine and east of National.
okay.
44 and 65. There's a couple little spots that jut around there, but that's the basic outline.
All right. So you cover a pretty big area, kind of like Sam's Club towards National in the north.
Yes.
All right. So let's get into your previous experiences. Why do you want to run? What what led you to this place?
I feel that we need some strong leadership in the district. Betsy has been there for 4 years, and I just personally don't think that she has shown that she is able to work with people. And in the last couple of years, just like many people, I have felt the financial pinch of the economy. And my opponent is a big supporter and a very hardline Democrat. So she supports a lot of the national policies that have had a negative impact here on Springfield and the state of Missouri. So I just want to put an average everyday guy, which is what I am.
Hmm.
I'm actually taking time out of my day at work today to do this interview. I a full time job. I have never had anything handed to me in life. I've worked hard, and if some of you may or may not know, I've been active locally for a very long time, and I want to take my fighting spirit, my mentality of just being an average everyday guy to represent the average everyday person up to Jeff City.
Okay. So what kind of work do you do? Do you mind if I ask?
I do sales, marketing in Branson right now. I've been
Okay.
here since just after COVID. COVID killed what I was doing before, and I had to readjust to provide for the family, and I landed in sales and marketing.
All right. So, uh, tell me about your previous life. A lot of people tell us their whole background, but people don't come to politics or want to get involved just because they have an itch, usually for dealing with the headaches of Jeff City, or even local issues like on the county commission or school board. What got you involved?
No, COVID-19 was my wake up call. Before that, I was what I would call myself to be an informed voter. I would check out the ballots. I'd make sure what issues were going on, kind of do a little light research on the candidates, and I would vote accordingly. You know,
Yeah.
I felt that after I got out of the army, I did my part. I didn't need to be active in doing a whole lot at that point, so I decided to go that route. Well, COVID-19 came around, and as many of us know, the city councils and the school board and the local municipalities and local government was more intrusive than the federal, it seemed. And I realized that if I wanted to have a true impact on my kids' life, I do have 4 children, that I needed to get active locally. And all my kids go to public school. So I started getting
Mhm.
active and really just kind of ramping up my involvement and kind of seeing the inner workings and seeing what's going on because I'm a firm believer that if you want to have the most direct impact on your family and your life, you have to act locally. And that's what I did. and I've been a volunteer on many campaigns. I ran for city council in 2021 in Springfield against a two-time incumbent and a former Democrat, the head Democrat from Missouri, and he was also a 12 years at the state level serving as a legislator. So it was a big feat, and I was unsuccessful, but I learned a lot, and I stayed active because of my kids. So that's kind of what got me into politics. It was more of a necessity than a want, if you will.
So you keep mentioning your kids being part of the reason you got involved. Why do you feel like your kids are so important for pushing you into politics?
Because as a parent, I'm raising my kids to be the next generation, and my kids will take over a world that me and my generation give them. And if we continue to sit by and let the continued government overreach and let certain intrusive policies take place, what kind of world am I going to leave my kids? I want to give them a world very similar to the one that I inherited when I became an adult. And I just don't feel that if I sat by that would happen. I feel that if you're idle, that's when the intrusiveness happens, and when people aren't active, that's when that slow chipping away or eroding of your rights and your protections happens. And again, my family is my everything. That is my why I get up and go to work every day. That is why I'm running for office. That is why I do everything, is because I love my wife, I love my kids, and I feel too that if I can make the world a better place for them, that I can make the world a better place for other families just like my own.
Okay. So what issues in particular are you wanting to focus on if you're elected in November?
I am very big on doing what we can at the state level to combat the effects of the Bidenomics and the inflation and how gas is up, groceries are up, those kitchen table issues that impact everybody. I also am a foster kid of 14 years. I'm very passionate about finding kids their a home and a family. I was never adopted, but I had a loving foster mother who took guardianship of me when I was 16 years old, and I became part of her family after 14 years of bouncing around and not having a place to call home.
Mm.
Looking into
Yeah, I was gonna say my wife grew up in a foster home, so I
it's
can
a
relate.
passion
I
project.
mean, yeah, I can't relate to that, but I do see, there's a hurt that lives inside of her that, she has to overcome a lot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kids that never get adopted and never get that home, and it's not because there's not good quality looking homes there. I've looked into and I've talked to people that have done state funded adoptions and private funded, and to me, when it shouldn't cost an arm and a leg, you shouldn't cost the taxpayers that much money, and it shouldn't cost in the private adoption world a lot of money either, because to me, that's monetizing children. That's putting a price tag on a child. And there's with the state funded in the state adoption process, there's a lot of unnecessary bureaucratic loopholes that you have to jump through in order to do such just something that should be so simple. You have a loving family, you pass a background check, and you have a house, and you can provide. Get this kid to a house, get this kid to a home, get them out of the system, and let them find the place where they truly belong. And that
Yeah,
can be done at the state level, because we do have private funded adoptions, obviously, but the state adoption, they just add too much red tape, as big bloated government tends to do, and it elongates the process, and it kind of turns some people away that may be loving in good homes for these kids, and it turns them to rather spending the money, and not everybody has that, by the way, the means to provide a, the substantial amount of money, or the cut the check, if you will, to
sure.
privately adopt a child. It's crazy. So those are some of the things. I've also been looking into something to help alleviate and put more money in the pockets of our retired folks. I believe Bishop Davison and Melanie Stinnett have been trying to work on this, but not just freezing, but eliminating property taxes for people 65 or older. Because when you're
So you,
retired, you
can
shouldn't
I
have to.
interject real quick? So you're referring to SB 190, and that's that bill that freezes, like you said, property taxes. But I'll let you go back ahead. I just wanted to keep the reader or the audience up to date.
Yeah, it's more than just freezing, it's eliminating them so you don't have to pay. So once you hit 65, you no longer have to pay property taxes in the state. Because
Mhm.
at a certain point, you are basically renting your own property that you have bought and paid for from the government. Because people don't look at it this way. I understand that property taxes fund our schools, and there is a big portion of property taxes that do good things in the community. It might also force people to be better stewards of the funds that they get and not be so wasteful with the spending. But it also will alleviate um, the stress of some people at the doors. That's been a talking point. I've hit people from their 20s all the way up to their 90s at the door. And the retired class said that may not be a lot of money every year, but that little bit of money will help a lot. And and I think that's something that we should definitely entertain to make life easier for those that have worked their entire life for that retirement.
Yeah.
So those are some of the
I
things I'm looking into.
okay. So you want to extend, or you want to eliminate the property tax for seniors? Some people have been saying that if you do it for one group of people, we should do that across the board for every Missouri citizen. That whether you're 16 or who just bought your first car, or whether you're 75 years old, you're all renting property from the government.
Oh,
And so,
that
what?
argument.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I understand that argument. I can see that.
Yeah. So there's people who are making the arguments that it should be extended for everybody, and I as someone who can sympathize with that argument, I understand it. So if you go to Jeff City, those are some of your plans, but you have some things that have to happen before you go there. Uh, do you have any challengers in the primary, Republican challengers?
I do not. There is no. The only two that will be on the ballot for the 135th will be me and Betsy Fogel. She's not being primaried, and neither am I.
Okay, so chances are you're both going to be on the November ballot. And so
That's a
what
guarantee.
I saw some paperwork. She raised a substantial amount of money the last time she was elected. I believe it was close to $200,000,
Correct.
which is quite a bit for a house race. Most house races average about $40,000. And I know she is on the northeast side of the town of Springfield, and there's some money there in that corner, especially when you go outside of town on Highway D. And so, what do you need in order to um, be a competitor against her?
Money is an unfortunate evil in politics, as we all know. And yes, Betsy is good at fundraising. But raising funds is one thing. People that are willing to put in the work and help you is another. I have been a grassroots community leader for the last 4 years. That's what people tell me I am. I just someone who just gets out there and gets it done. I have a work ethic that won't be undone. So while money is a big piece of running an election because you need literature, you need cards for your door knocking, your signs, your media spots. The
Mhm.
hard work is where I won't be beat. I've been out knocking doors already, letting everybody know that I'm on the ballot, asking them to look into me. I have gone to events. I have spoken to various groups of people, and that's the part of it that people kind of forget about sometimes is you can have all the money in the world, but that doesn't buy the success. That's just a piece of it. And I plan to get the grassroots people that I have been supporting and have been supporting me through the years up and ready to do the hard work. And I plan on outworking my opponent. She can raise more money than me, and that would be fine, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I will not be outworked. I believe that hard work will help me win this election, not because I put my faith on TV more than she does.
Yeah. And we kind of saw what happened in the April election between Landon Carter, is it Landon McCarter and
Yeah,
Chad Rollins?
it was
Yeah.
Landon Carter and Chad Rollins.
At the very last minute, there was an influx of $60,000 into the school board race, which is a lot of money in 2 weeks to be spent on TV ads uh, for Daniel Kincaid and the others trying to get them elected. And so we know that there are going to be groups out there like Springfield United, PAC groups that are going to try to make sure that Betsy continues to keep her seat. Do you have any groups that are working with you to help unseat her?
I don't have any specific PACs or groups that have reached out to me in an effort to unseat Betsy Fogel. I do have the support of the Missouri GOP, which makes sense since I am the Republican nominee. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
candidate, basically, since I
Yeah.
don't have a primary. So I do have the Missouri GOP. The party is supporting me. I have
Did you
little.
go ahead?
I'm sorry. Also, I have little groups that I've spoken at the Greene County Republican Women's. I have spoken with different grassroots organizations. I've spoken at a We the People meeting and met with some of them. And anybody that wants to reach out and help that is more than welcome. But I do not have anybody dumping money into my campaign. I don't have these big PACs behind me. What I
Sure.
have is the people. I'm a grassroots guy.
Yeah, and grassroots can definitely win elections, and I hope I'm not implying that they can't. Did you see my Substack post on Sunday? On Sunday
I
morning?
saw. I can't remember what day. I saw something
It was
that you
about
did.
the state GOP. If you
I
go down
probably.
towards the bottom, go back down towards the bottom, there's a video where they highlight the different races that they want to affect. And one of the races is your race, and they discuss you for a good, probably 5 6 minutes, I think. Of course, I'm going off memory, but they do give you a good portion of time, and they talk about how they do want to flip Betsy Fogel's race, and they talk about it being about hard work and trying to just outwork everybody who's going to be in Betsy Fogel's campaign. So I do think once the primaries are done, the RNC will, or sorry, not the RNC, the Missouri State GOP will probably start getting behind some of the elections coming up.
Yeah, they
And
can't
they do seem,
legally get behind right now because they can't
yeah,
legally take a side.
yeah, until the primaries are over, I
Correct.
believe. Yeah, and so that's what they're waiting for, I believe, and they will probably help everybody out, including you, and we'll go through that process. Um, they do have certain places in the state that they would like to take over or to win back spots like Springfield. Springfield is a center, is a place where the Democrats have made a lot of ground in the last 10 years.
Absolutely. Some people may or may not know, your listeners here. I'm very active locally. I've been part of the Queen City Watchdog, and I've been at other meetings and other organizations, and through my connections and my grassroots work, I have learned that Springfield is in fact a focal point for the Democrats. It is part of their Flip Missouri Blue campaign, and we have seen that slowly take place. Betsy Fogel beat Steve Helms, who was an incumbent, a two-time incumbent, in 2020. She maintained against AJ Exner in 2022, and in 2022 they were able to flip Craig Fischel's seat to Stephanie Hine. now they are coming for Melanie Stennant's seat, and they feel good that they're going to maintain Betsy and Stephanie's seats here down here on the east side of Springfield, because those two seats
Mhm.
basically are the entire east side of Springfield. There's a slow, and they have a very methodical plan in place, and they're just slowly chipping away. And Springfield over the last 10 years has become a purple city.
Yeah, they have,
That's
and they have a
100%.
lot of money in those foundations where they can happily give it away towards winning campaigns.
And Betsy Fogel comes. The Fogels are very prominent family in Springfield. I believe it was Ark of the Ozarks is where her father was at, and she was given a position there.
Hmm.
They have their money friends, but again, I'm going to circle back to hard work. I you know
Yeah.
I have worked hard for everything that I have in life, and I think that's what sets me aside. I have never been handed anything in my life. Life was stacked against me from the very beginning. I was born to a 15-year-old unwed teenage mother, in the 86, so that's technically the mid 80s. I was a foster kid for 14 years of my life. I joined the U.S. Army at 19. I fought. I made it home from Iraq, thank God. I have fought for everything, and I've earned everything that I've gotten. So I don't feel entitled one bit. And I don't feel that anybody, and I do not expect anybody to just work and help me. I'm going to put in the work as equal as I can. I've been door knocking on my days off of work every day that I can. I lost my voice a couple of weeks ago and wasn't able to. I'm going out for at least 1 hour after work every day that I can. Even if I'm just dropping literature on people's doors, I am trying to get out there. I'm trying to knock doors. I'm trying to meet people, and I'm
Hmm.
doing the work. Anybody that like, you reached out to do an interview. Took a little bit of scheduling, but here we are. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to do
Well,
that. I'm willing to do that hard work. And I hope that people see that I am willing to do this hard work. And this work ethic is what you will be voting for if you put me in Jeff City. You'll have someone who's a workhorse and who's not afraid and will not shy away from doing what is necessary to work for the people of not just our piece of Springfield, because everything you do at the state legislature will impact the entire state.
okay. So we'll pivot back to Jeff City if you don't mind. So
That's fine.
I don't know. I don't know if you're aware of the situation. You probably are, but does Greene County do vetting?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. So do you know, then have you been vetted by, if you don't know, then you probably have been vetted by them. I'm not sure if Greene
I
County does or not.
interviews. I've had interviews and I've met with people and they've kind of
Okay.
looked into me. And I think everybody has looked into me. I guess you could call that the vetting process. My
Hmm.
record speaks for itself. I'm a very transparent and very open person. I'm not going to shy away from any of the tough questions. And I
Sure.
believe my work, like I know people in the grassroots. I know some establishment people. I have a friend who works for Congressman Burleson. So
Hmm.
I know people in all levels that can vouch for my character, the work, and the things that I'm able to do and have done. So I believe I have been vetted without like a checklist, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think every county does it, so it's not something. I don't think Greene County does, but I could be wrong on that. So when you go to Jeff City, which groups do you want to work with? Which people are you planning on allying yourself with?
Well, I have um, been reached out to by, she called herself a citizen lobbyist. She's a homeschool person,
Hmm.
very, very, very passionate about keeping the government out of homeschools and finding a way to increase access to, like for the school choice options without putting,
Government in.
uh, you know what I'm saying, without putting, the government and the strings and the money And so, I mean,
Mhm.
that's another thing that I'm kind of passionate about of improving the schools because my kids are impacted by that. So I've been reached out to by people that go to Jeff City regularly. And then again, I made time and I had a phone call with this lady and I had a great
Mhm.
conversation and she kind of got to pick my brain and I was an open book with her because she said, if you get elected, you're going to be seeing me a lot. And I said, well, that'd be just fine. So,
Yeah.
it was
I
kind
may
of
know the
people.
person you're speaking of. Um, did you study SB 727 when it got passed?
I have read part of it. I have not read all of it. I
Yeah,
have looked,
167 pages.
yeah,
Yeah.
but part
Go
of
ahead.
it, in my opinion, part of it, it's not perfect, but I am a firm believer in what I have. We homeschooled for a couple
Hmm.
years during COVID, and we're in a few homeschool groups, and parents don't want that over there. People don't want it because the private schools don't want that the government because that's why they're where they are because it's less government regulation. So
Hmm.
while it seems like a great idea, give these kids the money to follow the kids, if you will. I don't think that's as good as it was sold. The money going to increase teacher pay and teacher retention would be great because we do have here in Springfield specifically, we have lots of staffing issues and concerns in the school between retirements and not getting enough people to be hired on and then having to cut
Hmm.
positions and everything. It's been pretty
Nightmare.
wild. So,
And the violence in schools, people don't want to stay
oh,
in an environment where they're getting beat up.
yeah. Why would you go to work for not the greatest wages if something you don't feel supported?
Yeah, no,
So,
my wife, she's doing artworks at a school in Springfield. She works in a different district, but she said 18 people left the school that she's at this year. 18 people in an elementary building is
that's a lot.
that's gotta be three-quarters of their staff.
Oh, and I
It's
mean,
it's
we can do stuff at the state
good.
level to help curb that. It's not all
Yeah,
about money. It's not all about money,
no.
but see, that's something else is people don't understand is the Department of Secondary Education is heavily influenced by legislators in Jeff City, and they set the policy
Yes.
for the schools. So
Yeah.
I should have touched on that earlier. That's something else that I'm very passionate about as a father.
Yeah. If you get a chance, I would review the interview I had with Pam Buttram. Gretchen and I sat down with her and she talked about the tax code. They basically created a tax fund. There's an account and a fund, but the $75 million goes and sets in this account, and the interest is what goes to the private schools, the family-based education. But the bulk of the money is either setting there or little or people management companies, the EAOs. They all take their portion of it, and it just sets there, and only the interest is going to the schools. And so they basically created funds that's in private hands, that's publicly controlled, but with no oversight. So you can't sunshine them to see how the money's being handled. You can't see if it's being handled correctly. If they wanted to embezzle the money, I'm not saying they are, but if they wanted to, there's almost no oversight to
That's
determine if they
wild.
are or not. Yeah. And the tax code protects the businesses without giving the government any safeguards that's being done correctly. So if you look at the interview, SB 727 was tax code really and made Desi more powerful, more than school choice. So, well, I know that your time, we got about 30 minutes and I know you don't have a lot of time. So I didn't want to go too much longer. Was there anything else you wanted to point out about your run for the 135th district?
You can follow me. I just want everyone to know that everything is very uniform. You can follow me at Hasty for Missouri. That's all spelled out. HASTYFOR Missouri at Facebook. You can email me at that Hasty for Missouri at Gmail. And you can check out my website at hastyformissouri.com. Anybody that messages me, I answer all my emails. I answer all my Facebook Messenger. So if you do reach out and you do have questions, you will be speaking to me. I check my email and
Oh,
respond about twice a day because I am busy between work and doing the campaigning and everything. But I'm out here. I'm out here working hard. I'm knocking the doors. I'm going to the meetings. I'm meeting people. I'm digging in, and I will let your listeners know that the number one issue to date, and I've been posting about it on Facebook, that has been brought up to my attention, is the economy. The dollar doesn't go as far as it did before. They feel like they're having to put something back at the store, or make the
mhm.
difficult choices. Do I want to get the quality, or do I want to get the quantity? And quantity doesn't always equate to healthy and nutritious food. People having to
Uh,
make these tough choices. And even in my line of work, sales and marketing, I sell a lot of show tickets for Branson shows. We've seen
mhm.
a downtrick this year in traffic. So it's impacting,
Yeah.
the economy is impacting tourism, and it's a big tourist spot here and generates a lot of tax revenue and a lot of business for the state of Missouri.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the
It's all
economy is,
downhill. Yeah. Just so you know, I saw some flyers yesterday showing Mike Kehoe being surrounded by lots of Chinese farm owners for soybeans, and it makes you wonder: are they producing the soybeans here, doing it cheaply, and then not putting them into our food supply, but selling them back into their own country? And if our farmland being bought up in large swaths and next to military bases in Missouri is being used to feed another nation, is it any wonder why our food costs are so high?
yeah, that's an interesting question for sure.
Yeah,
I would have to dig in on that. I haven't seen that ad though. I know that it's a very heated, and I'm not going to take sides, and I'm not letting anybody
sure,
know who I'm voting for, as it's
sure.
primary season. I don't have a camp, but it's definitely very heated in some races. The governor's race for Missouri is primary is definitely very heated, and there's a couple. I know that the 132nd Crystal Quade's old district is being contested by two Republicans in the primary. Bernadette
Hmm.
and Stephanos are vying for that seat up there. So there's a few,
Yeah,
even locally, where there's some challengers that they're the
yeah.
better choice. So it
We're
should be
burning up.
interesting.
Yeah, we're burning up a lot of Republican resources in the primaries. Hopefully, there's enough left over in November. But yeah, I'll let you go if you can give me a couple of minutes after that we end the interview. But I would appreciate it.
That'd be fun.
All right.
I
Oh,
appreciate your
thank you
time.
so.
I appreciate. Yeah, I do. I just want to say I appreciate your time. I appreciate you just asking questions, and getting to the meat of the issues with me. I look forward to listening to this whenever you do release it.
All right. I appreciate you coming in, Michael. Thank you so much for it. And you all have a great day.